digital ID is the linchpin that ties it all together. That is the linchpin. And I think, we better wake up across the Western world to doing whatever we can to push back against that before it's too late.
Coming up on the show, I'll be joined from Ireland by Dr. Gerard Waters. Gerard is a GP known for openly challenging official COVID policy, vaccine mandates and government responses during the pandemic. He gained attention for refusing to enforce vaccine certificate rules and speaking publicly about medical coercion. He is now a vocal critic of the UK COVID inquiry, calling it a whitewash. But first, Allan Paul Roberts is an author exposing what he describes as a coordinated globalist effort to destabilise Western society. His book, entitled The Globalist Plan to Collapse Everything to Usher in a New World Order, outlines 11 pillars being weakened intentionally. He uses 170 QR codes linking to original sources to create an interactive reading experience. Allan, welcome to the show. Great to speak to you. A while back, I was looking at the UK, I was looking at Europe, and I wrote down a list of what I would do. It sounds like a weird thing to do, but what I would do if I wanted to destroy the United Kingdom, like if that was my plan. And then
Sure.
I put that list next to what consecutive governments, but particularly this Labour government, have done. And you know what? They matched. They matched identically.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Which proves it's a plan. Proves it's a plan.
Is that what you found as well? Is that, is that what inspired you to write the book? And actually, I was going to say, what are those 11 pillars as well?
Well, sure. Let me just jump into the 11 pillars to get them out of the way. So here they are in the order what I would call most obvious to perhaps least obvious. Number one is national borders, security and police protection, privacy, banking and finance, education, energy, environment, medical supply, food supply, and the last two are a little counterintuitive: self-identity and faith. Those are the 11 pillars that I argue are under attack, and if they come down, society will come down with it.
Well, you can apply all 11 of them to the United Kingdom, which just goes to show, given our distance geographically, that this is a globalist thing, right?
Oh, yeah. And that's, what I came across in the research to the book. I was amazed at how consistent these efforts are across the Western world. All of Europe, all of Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States. Basically, somebody pointed out to me later, these are the countries that historically supported Christendom in the sense of freedom and, rights, human rights. So these countries that are the basis of that worldview are the ones that are under attack.
Which is no coincidence whatsoever. Which pillars? Because, I understand that all 11 pillars are basically, they're being shaken right now. Which
Sure.
pillars do you think are the ones that are the nearest to collapse? They're so much further down the road in terms of pulling them down. And
Sure.
what do you think we should be doing in terms of focusing on protecting them? Do you know what I mean? Those and strengthening those particular pillars.
Sure. Well, out of the 11, I think there's two that are really close to coming down and in a sense have already come down to a point. The first one, national borders, 100%. That is the most alarming. And I know for Western Europe, this has been going on in a big way since at least 2010, 2011, with the fall of Gaddafi and the surge that came into Europe then. And then Syria, another surge, and it continues to this day. And so you could say borders are dissolving because what are borders if anyone can cross them with no resistance whatsoever? So that one really concerns me. But the other one that I'm very, very concerned about right now is the whole banking and finance system of the world, of the Western world in particular. And the debt to GDP ratio throughout the United States and most of Western Europe is in awful shape. And everything is so interconnected these days that if the U.S. banks go down, that banking and finance system goes down, it's going to drag the rest of the world with it. And so that one really concerns me. I don't know if you're familiar with Hal Turner radio show. He just put out an excellent post on his website, halturnerradio.com. And the title of it is "The Experts Are Telling Me 2026, Everything Comes Apart and Nothing Can Stop It." And he goes into what he calls 6 dominoes of the financial system that are all in horrible shape and will come down in 2026, according to the financial experts that are talking to him. And those 6 dominoes are what he calls the refinancing wall, the shadow banking system, commercial real estate, the bond market, the insurance industry, and the Federal Reserve balance sheet. That all of these are in dire shape right now, and that he believes, according to those who spoke with him, that it's all coming down in 2026. So that would be the biggest concern, the banking and finance system, because it's not just that your money goes. If the ability to finance also goes, that means businesses can't borrow, people can't borrow. And if he's right about that, then that would be a very alarming situation.
Well, you would create the chaos for the order to be offered out of, right? In that case,
exactly.
What was the evidence that led you, apart from what we've said, already in terms of the fact that it's happening almost identically in different countries, which goes to show it's not, But what evidence led you to believe that it's actually a concerted effort, and it's not merely political incompetence? Because there's a bit of a realisation here in the UK particularly that it's not incompetence. I mean, that's not to say that a lot of our politicians aren't buffoons, because they are. But
yeah.
What was was there a particular event that you looked at and went, oh no, this isn't incompetence, this is coordinated?
Yeah. For me, the opening of the southern border of the U.S. to millions and millions of people coming in unchecked, that told me that it's too stupid to be stupid. Nobody would be that stupid to think, oh, this could be a good idea. We'll just get, the claim is Democrat voters, because they'll typically vote Democrat. And so the Democrats will have control of the political system forever. I really don't believe that is the primary motive, again, because it's too stupid to be stupid. I mean, don't these people have children and grandchildren, at least some of them? I mean, who would think this is a good idea to ruin the future of your nation, to basically bankrupt your nation by letting in so many people that the system can't support it? So that was like the straw that really broke it for me, that this is intentional. And, then when I went into researching the book, to find out how consistent that really is across the Western world, to basically collapse the borders as one key element of, bringing down society so they can build their new world order on the ashes of that collapse.
Well, they've absolutely done that in the UK. And it's funny because the main drive at the moment is for digital ID. And that's not just the UK, is it? That's globally. But when you look at it in terms of borders, at the moment, our Prime Minister is essentially just, he's just like, he's in awe of his God, which is Tony Blair, our former Prime Minister, who's been pushing digital ID the whole time. But Tony Blair was the guy that opened the borders, and they're now using open borders as an excuse for digital ID. How would digital ID change the game, do you think, in terms of our personal freedoms, for instance?
Yeah, I think the digital ID is the linchpin that ties it all together. It's at the core, because if you have digital ID, now it really depends what you tie that to. If it was just digital ID, as they claim, to safely use the internet so our kids aren't seeing porn, or just to make it safer for travel, that they can process you through at the airports and protect us from hijackers or things like that. If that's all it was, I wouldn't be worried about it. But it's actually going to be tied to our ability to do our banking, to buy things. The social credit score that is in place in China and is used as a means to control travel, to control banking, to control privileges, where your kids get to go to school, what kind of job you can have, what kind of job they can have. Even ultimately your ability to buy anything, to support yourself. That is the linchpin. And I think, we better wake up across the Western world to doing whatever we can to push back against that before it's too late. Because when that is fully implemented, it's going to be awful hard to get out of that grip of that system, considering that it'll be tied to everything else, including the medical system. Basically everything about us will be interconnected, and that's a very disturbing possibility.
I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're very much aware of the growing surveillance state emerging all around us. Whatever you do, you're being watched and your data being harvested. This is why Glenn and Eric Mader formed the Privacy Academy. Join the community designed to help overwhelmed, non-techie people like me learn how to get private online. Head over to privacyacademy.com/Ike and learn how to exit the surveillance state with regular webinars exclusively for you. Now, back to the show. No, I agree completely. I think for me, it's a term that's used a lot, like that's the hill to die on, but I believe that with digital ID. I think it's that key. How can people resist, do you think, or prepare for what's going to come along in the next 12 months or so? Because, as you say, with your friends in banking, but it's felt like it for a while that 2026 is going to be a massive year for all of us.
Yeah. The thing I think that is most fundamental is for anyone that's been holding back on spreading the word on what they believe is going on, I would say get out of your comfort zone and spread the word in any way that you possibly can. So as many people as possible come on board to the awareness of what is at stake. And that if enough of us do that, we have a chance of creating a tipping point of resistance that can actually stop some of these things from succeeding. Even if they're partially implemented, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to succeed at everything they're trying to do. So awareness is key. That's why I wrote the book. I wrote it in a way that it has the capability of convincing a doubter. And I gave this to a friend of mine who was in that camp, didn't know anything about this, doesn't watch the kind of things you and I listen to, the podcast, had no idea. And she read the book, and it was like an oh my God moment. It's like, oh my God, I didn't realize how the world works. I didn't realize what's at stake. And I didn't realize, how much I need to change. And she said, I have a bunch of changes to make in my life. And she actually has. She's made a lot of these changes. And so, awareness is the first thing. But then beyond that is preparing yourself, your family, your community in basic ways. So with these pillars, if we talk about the financial system, and I know plenty of people have talked about this, it's not an original thought, but the thing is to have financial assets that are not denominated in fake currency, let's call it, in dollars, in euros, and whatever it might be. In other words, hard assets, precious metals, gold, silver, whatever you can buy that you think you can use, will need in the long term, whether it's food, whether it's medicine. I would say if you can get it now, and think of it as an insurance policy. Because if this banking system starts coming down, what's going to happen is there's going to be, hyperinflation. The value of the currency will fall so fast that it'll almost be too late to react once the dominoes start falling, if they do. And I don't want to be an alarmist. but I do want to be a realist. And, we all have house insurance on the off chance that our house may burn down. We all have car insurance, which is more likely that we'll be in an accident and need it. Think of this as insurance, just to be able to continue to lead a somewhat normal life, to be able to have the food your family needs, to be able to have an alternative currency. I usually tell people, I recommend, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't legally give financial advice, but just as a logical thing, 1 ounce silver rounds. That's a small denomination that could be used to barter and trade. And if we get to the other side of this and we have some new currency, let's say, maybe it's not a digital currency, maybe it is, but to have something on the other side of this hyperinflationary period that you can convert back into whatever the new currency is down the road is a really smart move. Having money in the bank that goes to near zero is just letting it all evaporate. So don't let it evaporate. Put your money into hard assets that can be bartered or converted back to a new currency on the other side of this.
Who do you think is behind this? When we talk about the globalist plan or whatever, or the permanent government, the establishment. Who do you think is behind this, and to what end? Do you think it's about collapsing everything so that they can basically build their new world out of the ashes?
I absolutely do, and that that's an evolution of thought to come to that conclusion, because we all have the normalcy bias, and we don't want to believe that. And I didn't want to believe it either. But, who is it? I mean, these globalists have been speaking their plans for years. Even if we only go back as far as the 1970s, when they're talking about, the population bomb, there's too many people. Bill Gates talking about it in his TED Talk, his 2010 TED Talk about population and how we can get it down by 10 to 15% if we do a good job with vaccines and a few other things. Or whether it's even, those mysterious Georgia Guidestones, which have been now destroyed, but that basically that monument, where item number one is to reduce the world population to a manageable number of 500 million, whether it's the limits to growth, whether it's things that have come out at the UN, the World Health Organization. They are united in their desire for a one world government. If you pay attention, you can see it. You can see the World Health Organization seeking unilateral authority to define when a pandemic occurs and to define the protocol that all the member nations need to follow. We saw this during the 2020 crisis, where everybody fell in line across all these nations with taking the solution to their epidemic, and they fell completely in line. And so yes, they have a plan to do it. I look at it as the people who are most influential at a global level: the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the independent banking system, that are just a series of banking families that own virtually all of the major banks in the world. And you combine that with people in government and the military. So those are the key elements. I don't pretend to know who may be in charge at the very top. I have my suspicions, but I don't have anything that can really back it, so I don't really go there. But we just need to be eyes wide open and be willing to connect the dots. And I think it becomes pretty clear once you see it. You mentioned the book has 170 QR codes. 100 of those are videos, mostly short videos. And so as I make each major claim, I basically take you through the QR code. You can just open your phone, go to the underlying video or a document that proves the point. And so in the course of the book, you basically get to wrap your mind around the whole picture very quickly. And then from there, you can do your own research, on the side. But But this basically connects all the dots in a format that most readers, I think, would find easy to grasp. And so that's what I was going for. But I don't think there's any way really to logically deny that these people are working together in a very coordinated fashion.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great idea as well in terms of being able to provide that evidence right there. Because if you were having to cite all your evidence and all that kind of stuff, your book's probably about 10 times the size, like War and Peace or something. So the fact that you can do that and that is great for people. Where can people find you and more importantly, where can people find the book?
Sure. So I have a website just for the book. It's called globalcollapsebook.com. And if you go to globalcollapsebook.com, you'll see some other videos related to the book and to the topic. But you'll see there's a buy button and there's a signed copies link, I should say, in the nav. So the buy button just connects you to Amazon and other places. Anywhere online books are sold, you can get it. Just look for the Globalist Plan to Collapse Everything. But if you're in the U.S., because of the high cost of international shipping, I can only offer this in the U.S. You can get a signed copy for about the same price. So if you click signed copies, they come in, paperback, hardback, and then bundles of paperback, 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 12, and 18, because, the desire is to spread the word to as many people as you can, and you can give them all a signed copy if you're in the U.S. So just as one way to kind of persuade, an extra persuasive touch for someone you give the book to, like, hey, here's a signed copy from the author, makes a nice gift. So I'm just trying to do anything I can to get the word out. I've put a lot of money into this. I'm nowhere near breaking even. I don't care if I ever break even. My goal is just to do anything I can to get the word out.
Yeah, but it's so important. It's so important, and I agree with you. Next year it's important. It's massively important, and the more people that are aware of it, that realise that it's a manipulated thing, you would hope then that they're not going to start turning on their neighbours and all that kind of stuff, which I think is probably part of it. When people get desperate, that actually people are going to go, no. Stay calm. We're on the same team here. Fingers crossed. Anyway, but thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to talk to you, and I'd love to talk to you again in the future as this crazy train keeps rolling on.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great to be with you, Gareth. Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That's all for the free section of this week's Gareth Icke Tonight. To watch the rest of the show, you can head over to Ickonic.com, where I'm joined by Dr. Gerard Waters. Gerard is a GP known for openly challenging official COVID policy, vaccine mandates, and government responses during the so-called pandemic. He gained attention for refusing to enforce vaccine certificate rules and speaking publicly about medical coercion. He's now a very vocal critic of the UK COVID inquiry, calling it a whitewash.
And, every now and again you come in and say, oh, I saw loads of people in ICU. Of course you did. But you're not asking why they got there. They got there because we, as GPs, as a profession, neglected the patients by mandate.
Please click the link in the description and head over to Ickonic.com to continue watching. You can subscribe instantly for just £1.99. Good night.